Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vainglory 8 powered by VIS. I'm your host, Dragonborn. Joining me tonight, it's the Nominee, and we are going to be getting you guys into the action. We are bringing you the off-stream match that is taking place here the third week of this first split in the autumn season. And I think we're about ready to get right into it, the Nominee. Of course, this is going to be an exciting matchup. This is Salty Potatoes versus FNATIC.
Yeah, and both of these teams have a lot to prove. I think the crowd favorite is obviously going to have to be looking over at FNATIC. They have just been looking so good this season, with the exception of maybe the last couple games. Had some things to work on from last weekend, but overall, great team. Obviously, a little bit of mishap in that first week. We were able to, get those games remade, and then, they were able to go, pretty far. So, obviously, Netwalat, Palmatoro, Techno JJ, no strangers to the European Vainglory scene, and they really brought on their A game this time around to prove it.
Yeah, ooh, I might have this backwards just a little bit. Let me see. I think it's FNATIC on A side here. Let me get that switched for you guys. There we go.
It should be FNATIC on A side, yes.
All right, so here we go into the draft. Black Feather Band, Catherine Band. What do we got, Lance? Already, this is going fast.
Yeah, it has been so far, and I'm actually surprised. We saw the Black Feather ban, and then not a Celeste pickup is kind of the more important factor here. As we see that Black Feather is, priority pick for countering that Celeste out, and that is going to give that Idris over now to B side, and that is an incredibly strong pick. In this particular meta, Celeste is taken off the board as well.
Oh, smart
so
ban.
Obviously, Celeste, one of those heroes that can deal with that Crystal Idris in the back line. So very smart of them to take it off here.
Yeah, it's just, so Celeste seems to have just really come into the meta as a very strong hero, right? Like, so even though I think, the matchups we've seen, typically the Nominee have, as Liber gets banned, has Celeste and Idris going maybe like back and forth, right? Like, we've seen both of them win into each other. The big difference maker, though, is the fact that that strong pick, you take it off, and now Finn is going to be the pickup here. I like this going into that Lance pick. It really helps negate some of those stuns.
Oh, it absolutely does. Obviously, we're not going to be able to see any triple impales or triple Githian walls or even that echo Githian wall, as we won't be able to stun up the Finn. So that is a huge utility now for B-side here, and it puts a lot of stress now because we know Finn is really good with those crystal backline mages, and that's what that Crystal Idris is. He is very much like a weapon-based hero, in that his basic attacks do a lot of damage, but he also has so much poke and so much AoE potential with that Chakram, especially when he gets to that third item, which for most players is that Broken Myth. We see sometimes people go Shatterglass right into a Broken Myth, but once that third item is online, he can really be a huge threat.
Now Scarf,
yeah,
good counter poke,
okay,
I think.
Nick.
I mean, it's a counter poke pick, right? Where you get to late game, I would say the Chakrams and the Spitfires are pretty even. I would say actually the Spitfires do a little bit more damage because if they hit, that's like a one-time hit. It's pretty big. Versus like you kind of have to get two passes on the Chakram to match that Spitfire damage.
Yeah, you definitely do, and especially with that Finn in the front line. Yes, Finn can be very good at sustaining a lot of that poke coming in from Scarf due to his unstoppable, but he's also very good at letting Scarf build up broken myth stacks, which can take over a fight very quickly. A Kroll now, so this is a long time EU composition put together, and it's something that they've always been known for is that Scarf Kroll combination. So it's got to be deadly looking into game number 1 here.
And it's honestly a very good pick in this meta in 2.8. We see these frontline weapon junglers much more prominent, and I think going into the Finn's a little slow, so it allows Cruel to be able to get into the fight, build some stacks up on Finn. If anything, just to like move in and out of the fight, like kind of has a target to lunge towards, right? Which is something Finn does have that. I mean, sorry, Cruel has the ability to do. So Salted Potato is now going to take some time to think about their last pick. And when we look at junglers that go well into Cruel, we've seen sometimes Samuel, like a double crystal come out, and it is Samuel. And this is something I find interesting. It's like we rarely see double CP, but when we do see it, it's usually a Samuel going into like a Cruel.
Yeah, that is usually the case, and they have their kind of trade-offs here. So now, obviously, Samuel wanting to kite backwards away from the Kroll, that is one benefit, as he's going to get behind the Finn pretty easily. The problem being is now they're either committing to a double crystal route or committing that Idris into that weapon route, which just isn't as strong this patch.
Yeah, I'd rather see the double CP. And we have seen the weapon Idris come out in cases like these, mostly in the Challenger series in North America. We saw that once, and I don't think it was very successful. So the CP Idris is definitely where you want to go. And honestly, the double CP is not bad because it does mean that you're going up against a Scarf who you could counter poke very quickly, very early on, and then I think you really can punish. I think you can punish the Cruel very well. You just have to be on target with your skill shots, and plus the front line that Finn offers is so strong that I think it gives, like, so in between your abilities, it gives those crystal mages a little bit more time to deal with, some of that damage stacking up here. The big thing is going to be how Samuel and Idris deal with just the Cruel Lance, right? Like, if they get locked up a lot, they're going to struggle.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely going to be an issue. And obviously, Finn pretty good into a Kroll, actually. Kroll's going to want to get onto that back line. And there's actually a lot of crowd control that a Finn brings to the table. Specifically looking at that Polite Company can make him waste out his Dead Man's Rush. Or that Quibble that can obviously, be such a devastating stun in the late game.
All right, well, we're jumping into game number 1, everybody. In this best of 3, so definitely we're gonna find out how it all plays out, which team can really come on top here. I'm actually liking the side of FNATIC's draft only because I think the double CP has a risk, not a large one, but a risk nonetheless. And so we're gonna see right away as they move down. They are already starting up this Elder Train.
Yeah, they're already working on it, and I think that it is smart with the composition that they have, and it doesn't even look like we're going to get a full contest there, so just going to give that one over, and they'll return respectively to their sides, and we'll just have to see, what they're able to bring now, and more importantly, going to see if Esquire does go into that double CP route or if he commits into weapon power.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's not clear yet, and honestly, building the Book of Eulogies early actually kind of suggests the weapon. Typically we like to see some CP because the Chakram does come out really early on CP. Could go either way, of course. As so far, decent rotation by FNATIC. I think they did a good job. And already, look at that, Palmatora going to the back.
Yeah, Palmatora making a aggressive engage here, looking to maybe find a kill or maybe even just some CS if that's what it comes down to. But Finn is here, and Lance is just now getting his chance to rotate over. So
Palmatora picks that up.
Yeah, but a good root comes through.
Root and that smite. The smite comes and gives a little bit more health to Palmatoro. I think he also used his health flask. Yeah, he did. So he's already full health.
Yeah, it is going to be the Joker that drops for the first blood. That is going to be a kill going over to Palmatoro, giving him some bonus gold, as well as now looking to clean out the jungle. And that's going to net about 1,000 gold lead here for the side of FNATIC at this point. And that's a pretty comfortable place to be in with a Scarf and a Kroll composition. But, again, we're really focusing on Esquire right now, looking to see what those first items that he commits to.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic engage. Counter jungling, it can be a little tricky, and you really only have a few minutes, those first 4 minutes, to do it successfully. Oftentimes, teams botch it. They go in, they don't get the kill, or they get a few farm, but they give up a kill. They give up first blood, or they lose out on the farm, and so it's usually never a very strong favor. But this time, they got first blood and almost the entire backs, which gave them that. Now it's like a 2,000 gold lead. That is substantially an impressive start for FNATIC there. It's definitely the way they wanted to start this game.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely have to consider that at any point throughout this game. And, you know, again, letting that Idris come online is such a huge threat. He has gone now into that crystal route, so we do know it is going to be a double crystal composition. And I think this is pretty smart. Again, I just don't see the weapon Idris being the threat that he used to be, especially not into a Finn, one of those heroes that can displace him quite a bit. I do think Palmatoro got that. He did not. Okay, so still looking good here for both sides. Nobody really taking a huge advantage that the other team can't come back from. But, you know, Palmatoro definitely making a good start for himself. Tension Bow is active, ready to go. No farm here for him, though, Dragon.
Yeah, it's, you know, a little bit quiet here on the side of the counter jungles, and that's thanks to Joker getting in there and clearing that out quickly with a quick recall. But it popped up, and this is, I think, Palmatoro. It's a little risky as he's going to have to do some testing. Oh, wow. Look how fast. That Tension Bow really helps him clear.
Yeah, it does, and it is now him running away. Samuel has got a bunch of damage down onto Palmatoro, the Joker making sure that he cleans up some of his own farm there. And it did look like he got most of it, so that is a good little bit of a turnaround there for Joker. And now it is Vainglory8 looking to just kind of be a little bit of an annoyance here against K-Last. And now rotating up, looking to force Esquire out. Still quite a ways away from getting enough crystal power to you know, really be able to capitalize on the Crystal Idris.
Yeah, he's going Crystal, so double CP. Double CP all the way as FNATIC now has to contest with that late game Idris that's likely to come on here. Vainglory8 doing a good job, I think, dodging and navigating through some of the pokes here. But, you know, that's where Salty Potatoes will be strong, and that's their win condition. Outpoke. Well, Techno JJ, I mean, and get into that fight. We're gonna see another engagement. Palmatoro, he's going so aggressive up against Joker.
Yeah, he is, and he is looking like he might find some good damage, but a healing flask used out of Joker is going to keep him quite healthy. And that item is just so useful in the early game, and we saw it right there. You know, obviously getting a curl on you is a scary thought, but when it gives you just enough time to kite back, now he's looking in a totally different position. Drifting Dark is down, and it looks like he's even going to be able to secure his farm away here.
Yeah.
Palmatoro is just forced out.
Palmatoro, once the Drifting Darkness came out, realized he wasn't going to get the farm. No point giving up unneeded damage, so he rotates up. Nice rotate, quits the lane. Joker's there to follow. And we could be having a skirmish here. All three members from both teams up here today, so looks like they're going to back away. I do want to talk a little bit about just the fact that, you know, we're at 5 minutes, and we don't see tier 3 items by either of... Oh, no, there we go. Frostburn finally by Techno. It does seem like in Europe, there's a little bit of a slower time for those first tier 3 items for laners. Like, we see it usually 5 minutes in NA, but we see oftentimes a 6 minutes creep for a lot of these players. And it seems like it's not that they don't have the farm or gold, it's just that the decision on when to back seems to be a big factor there.
Yeah, it definitely can be. And right now, with Palmatoro and Techno JJ at level 6, both of those ultimates available, they are in a little bit more of a deadly position than the opposition, if you ask me. K-Last, not quite level 6, does not have that Forced Accord, and that is going to be a huge spike potential. Here we go, from Hell's Heartlands, and will they find a kill? They do! Esquire drops. Crystal Idris is down there. That's 2 kills so far for the side of FNATIC.
Well, it's slow and steady for FNATIC. They have done a great job at not overcommitting to positions like in the jungle. Like here again, they go in. Oh man, what a nice clean kill. Denabade. They just seem to be doing a great job at like being not cautious, but picking their fights wisely. Not overcommitting, not giving up unneeded damage. This is definitely going to be a good sign for them because, you know, it's the outpoke game really happens when you overcommit to a fight that you've been outpoked already early on. And if they don't do that, I really think FNATIC are in good shape for the rest of this game. Yeah,
they absolutely are, and you know that's one of the huge thing here for Salty Potatoes is they, you you know, really got to come back into the game in the late portion when this Idris gets online. Now, Idris is one of those heroes that, yes, they are going double crystal. You can prioritize that shield and do very well in the early game. But as the game goes on and Joker and Esquire both get those broken myths online, it starts to change. That shielding prioritization doesn't seem to feel quite as effective.
You see what Never Toilette did a great job at that Githian wall. Actually knocks the gold miner away from the quibble. That was clutch.
Yeah, pretty good spot for them to be in so far.
Very good spot. Nice gold lead. I mean, that's something you kind of want when you've got these mages, is you do want that early game. It's not really snowballing because you are fighting for the late game, but it is a comfortable lead. It usually results in a few objectives early, and that can spiral out of control. It's hard to come back from a heavy guild lead when you're talking about like an Idris or a Scarf, right? Or even a Celeste. It's really hard. We are going to see a nice push up though here into the turret.
Yeah, looking like it, and that is actually going to be first turret now. And that is a huge thing to make note of going forward, is that is a pretty sizable objective advantage. It didn't get them enough gold to move ahead, but you know, even just getting to the point that they're at is, now it makes it difficult for the Scarf to safely farm.
We see this all too often to Dominate. Rotation, you get an objective like Gold Mine, then you rotate to your backs, and what we see from other teams is they identify that early, not even with vision, they just almost make a gut call, and they push right up into the jungle. I mean, sorry, into the lane. And this is thanks to these really strong wave clear potential from Idris, Scarf, Celeste, these Crystal Mages, who can clear lane very quickly. And a little bit of a miscall. We see this actually quite often from these competitive teams, is that desire to back farm their jungle before just keeping their lane in check.
Right, and against an Idris and a Samuel, that is something that you always have to be ready for, is that aggressive damage they can put down on a turret. And we saw it right there. The damage was not respected by FNATIC, and that does give Salty Potatoes a chance to remain in this game.
Yes, it does. As we look to keep an eye here just on how close this potentially could be with the double poke CP Mages. I would say as we get later into the game, Salty Potatoes does have a slightly, has the potential to get back into it thanks to the poke. But, Scarf online early, already seeing that broken myth getting close to being complete. That'd be a 3-item Scarf. That is pretty scary at 10 minutes or so. And, we're looking at the goal. He's about 1,000 gold away from completing it.
He's about 100 gold away from completing it. Oh, he already has the heavy prism, already has the piercing shard, so he's ready. This is a 11-minute Scarf ready to go with some huge damage potential, and Esquire is quite a ways away from his broken.
Well, he's got his shot.
Scarf.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Yeah, huge damage coming through. Not quite able to find Joker, but it is looking like Esquire is going to find Techno JJ. He does. Joker does drop to Palmatoro, and now it is just going to be Esquire looking to get out. He does clean up a little bit of vision, but I think this might be Kaylas getting out of here. The Finn obviously super hard to take down.
Yeah, I mean, Cruel is good at locking on targets, but he's better against squishies, I think. Nice root in the lane. As we're talking here, it's interesting. This game's fascinating. I would say FNATIC is in the lead, but slowly we're seeing this Idris find momentum, getting kills. That's important. That was that first kill, by the way, against the Scarf. And you want to be very careful. We're getting to that point of the game where one mistake could go the wrong way for FNATIC, could actually result in them getting pretty far behind.
Yeah, I mean, it could be either way at this point. We're getting, close to that 15-minute mark. Obviously not there. So the next fight could really net an extra turret, a gold mine, a number of things as these death timers start to ramp up. Palmatoro has actually gone into the breaking point at this point. So not that poison shiv we normally see out of a Krull. But Netolette does have the Echo available now, and will likely be using that onto that Githian wall, looking for additional stuns onto Joker and Esquire.
Yeah, I mean, having that first Turricon's actually really given a lot of space for Salty Potatoes. They could rotate, they could clear the lane, move it up. Oh, nice route. Could have a fight actually here. So let's get right into the Dalby. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's a Esquire dropping very, very quickly on in that fight, and now it's looking like Kaylas is going to be doing the same. I'm not sure if Joker is going to make it out. There aren't any stuns available, so he is going to. And instead, it is going to be FNATIC turning their attention here now onto the Crystal Sentry. 12.5 minutes in the game. It is eliminated. Spitfire does find the Joker, but it's not going to be enough to get a kill.
Look at the damage on that Spitfire, though. That was like a 4 or 5 stack Spitfire, already chunking the Joker. He's got to build that Aegis sooner than later.
Yeah, and it was 450 damage on that Spitfire. They turned their attention onto the gold mine. An incredibly quick take onto that one, so definitely a pretty sizable advantage in the favor right now of FNATIC. This Scarf is getting so ahead so quickly, Dragonborn.
You know, Scarf's doing okay, but it's, you know, and so is Cruel. On the enemy side, Idris has 3 items, but Joker only has 1 tier 3. He hasn't built a broken mid. That was a huge disadvantage in that fight, because Joker would have probably been able to do more damage, might have even like scared away FNATIC, but without the broken mid completed yet, and he's pretty close to it, he's just not a threat yet. And right now, it's really just the Idris is a threat as we get another fight breaking out.
Yeah, here we go, and it is Esquire just going to use the Shimmer Strike a little bit early, in my opinion. Wasn't quite in a point that he needed to use it to escape or to engage, and now that's a pretty sizable cooldown for Idris. That is really one of Idris's biggest defense advantages that he has, is his ability to reposition so much in a fight. Forced Accord is going to get, is going to miss.
No, it was on.
Get Crucible out of Netulette. Yeah, so overall, that is now with only 1 point into that ultimate, that's a pretty sizable cooldown for Finn as well. He does have the Quibble overdriven, so he has that stun, but he has to be able to land it onto Palmatoro or Techno JJ or the Miracle Quibble and hit them both.
But look how fast Techno goes down. I mean, Esquire's having no problem trading blows with him.
He's not, but Class is going to drop, and now Samuel and this Idris are looking to get some follow-up damage. It's not quite going to be enough to find a kill. Palmatoro still looking to be aggressive. You got to be so careful here, pal. You are so low. Great stun comes through. They are going to find another kill onto Esquire. They're not done. They are forcing the Joker back. Healing Flask has been popped at this point, so that is going to be down, but this is FNATIC just really getting ahead in this game, Dragon.
Yeah, and the minion wave doesn't push up pretty quick. Oh, there it's going to. So that was really the only saving grace here for Salty, was that they didn't lose turret, but it looks like at this rotation they're going to. Yeah, this is it. Palmatoro should be able to come in this.
Yeah, should be able to pretty easily, and that's going to put them in a even more comfortable position. It's looking pretty grim right now for Salty Potatoes, unless if they can find a beautiful fight where they kill Techno JJ early on, and that just hasn't been the case yet, and that's got to get you wondering, will this Idris be able to pull it together as the rest of this game goes on?
Yeah, it's been a pretty good game for Techno, I would say. Overall, he's got to feel good. This Scarf in a great spot. Finally able to build the Idris, too. Looks like he's going to go to that Clockwork. I like that he built Broken Mid third. I mean, I thought that was a better third item than Clockwork. We'll see how this all goes. We got to fight.
Yeah, here we go. It's a beautiful stun. Here comes the Dragon's Breath melting down the opposition. But it is Palmatoro and Netulette dropping. Techno JJ looking for one last shot onto the Joker. Not quite able to find it yet, but will he? Sees where Samuel is at now. There are no boots available for either of these guys.
So close.
One more Spitfire. Oh, no.
I mean, just a little out of range, and Samuel doing a good job at, like, just being cognizant of the fact, all right, I gotta wait to move until the Spitfire comes and move around it. Nice trade. I mean, honestly, this fight, with FNATIC finally getting a turret there, I mean, that's important early on before that fight took place. And the fact that, they're not losing. But what's kind of scary for FNATIC is the fact that as you let this game go on, Samuel's going to come online. And then you're going to have both the poke from Samuel and Idris. And we already have seen it. Salty Potatoes, when they can get on top early, the poke from Idris has been just actually wrecking the Scarf. So a little bit worrisome for them. I think they've got to be aware of that. The Scarf, the late game, that Dragon Breath does a lot. But I honestly think you maybe want to just, when you're in those tight areas, those tight corridors, you almost want to just goop and poke with the Spitfire is what I would say might be the priority.
Yeah, you definitely got to get a couple of those Spitfires down, build up some of that damage, try to get through K-Last. If From Hell's Heart does not get blocked, there's a root, there's a Githian Wall. Here comes another Githian Wall. They are going to find Esquire very early on in that fight. Now it's going to be K-Last dropping, and with the Kraken on the board, Joker is looking to get out here. He might be able to.
I don't know.
I don't think, though. It's not looking like it.
It's not.
And that is likely going to be a Kraken and a devastating push for the side of FNATIC. I actually don't like that they're all. Oh, there we go. Okay. TechnoJJ turned around. He's doing the smart thing. Going to go ahead and push this wave up into the turret and take one turret before the Kraken even makes it there, because when that turret explodes, it does do a percentage of health to the Kraken that is unavoidable.
Yeah, no, we see pros have been so good at making sure they don't like just commit over to a Kraken. Kraken's really just a means to an end. It gives so much gold to the enemy side that you really don't want to give it over lightly. You want to make sure you take objective leads in the process of getting it. Pushes with Krakens can be a little bit problematic for some teams. You see it sometimes backfires, so good to get that turret, at least ensure some kind of gold advantage at the end of it. It's all potatoes now. I mean, you know, they've done a good job, and they are getting kills, but we've really seen Esquire get caught out by early these last two team fights. This is a problem. He can out-trade Scarf. He's just not getting the room to do so. He's getting locked out right away. That's where this lands. Fantastic play so far for him. And as a Kraken pushes onto this final link turret, this is probably when FNATIC's going to look to push aggressively here. With a Scarf, they definitely can do it.
They have an infusion here on the Idris, not quite at 4 items. The Force Accord is going to get blocked, and now it is just Joker and Esquire wailing on this turret, trying to find any of that AoE damage onto the backline as well. Half health on this Kraken. I think TechnoJJ needs to get one turret here and probably just look to get out. He is going to use a Spitfire and Goop to deter the enemy a little bit, and that shouldn't be a turret going over. Lives with just a sliver of health. And that could have been some bonus gold for the team if they would have just stayed around for a couple basic attacks.
Yeah, so a lot of crystal coming out. Looks like Kayla's is going to build that Echo here pretty soon, and I think that's a good call. They definitely need to pull out some of those, because if anything, the Finn's job really at this point, because of how good people are at blocking the Finns. Oh, we got to fight!
Yeah, we do, and it is a big one starting up quickly. The Joker gets a lot of fortified health from Finn. K-Last, though, dropping very low, but so is Netulette. Here comes the Dragon's Breath. They find Finn. Will they be able to find the other two? Samuel is burning down, but it is Idris finding so much return damage, and just like that, Salty Potatoes find an ace, and they are back in this game, Dragon.
They absolutely are. What an incredible play by Esquire to be able to get into this fight. Just absolutely. This is what we talked about. The Crystal Idris does come online. It's a problem for a lot of these teams. They struggle sometimes to you know, make, you know, deal with that poke that comes out. So, really good job by the side of Salted Potatoes to kind of get in there. And just like that, man, this has been absolutely a crazy comeback. They could come back all the way. I mean, the thing is, we saw them lock down Idris early. In fact, in both of those fights, Idris was taken out of the game. And if that happens, I think that FNATIC wins this. But, you know, giving over this Idris to be able to sustain in that fight is a real problem.
Yeah, it's definitely something you cannot take lightly. We've seen how quickly Esquire was able to ramp up in that last fight. He has now completed the Eve of Harvest. He has the Aegis online, and he is at that incredibly devastating point of an Idris's build. And now splitting up some ambient gold here in the backs. He is going to look to upgrade his boots, as well as obviously get Joker to that point that he has enough gold to get the Aegis. And they are both going to have that, and they are both going to take the opportunity now to go ahead and recall.
Yeah, recall, get those last infusions up on the board, reset. I think everyone's fine. Cruel's a little bit old on his infusion, I mean, but I don't think he's gonna have a problem. He should be able to get the 500 gold right before it goes out, but he's definitely gonna have this fight brewing right in front of him. He's gonna like to try and come in, and they're trying to get on Esquire, but oh my goodness, look at the damage.
Yeah, and here comes the Dragon's Breath. Will it be enough? It is going to get blocked, the Quibble at least is. And now it is Esquire looking for more, but Scarf is so healthy. And just like that, it is a double kill for TechnoJJ and Netulette. The Joker will make it out. It looks like if he doesn't get cut off here. Here comes the Impale. It does miss. And he is buying a lot of time here. But as he drops, there it is, that double Githian wall, so devastating coming out of Netulette. That's an ace, and that should be game with the death timers, the position they're in, where FNATIC should be able to close the game out here. They have this ace wave coming in. It does get taken a little bit out by the scout trap there, but they are easily going to be able to find the damage on these turrets, split it evenly.
I don't think
Clast is alive, Esquire is coming up. But look at the damage Scarf does to the objective here. It's just not enough time.
Yeah, and finding these choke points, it's so hard. There's a lot of crowd control from Netulette in those small areas. He's got that Echo as well. He was able to just go toe-to-toe with crowd control, actually doing very well. And that gives a huge advantage over to FNATIC in those close quarters. I really think in the open area where there wasn't as many obstacles, we did see the Idris move around, get the damage, and not get locked up. But unfortunately, they're not going to win the game. Good job by Salty Potatoes. I think they kept it very close. But double CP, I think you see a little bit of the problem here is that weapon's not available. You're not able to focus, you know, or force the enemy to like decide between defensive items at this point, right? There's just no ability to just choose, and just like that, you know, it's going to be FNATIC with the first win. I would say honestly, probably a really exciting game to start our EU series here.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to get into game number 2. Overall, that game was very close, but it came down to that last fight. Unfortunately, Esquire was not able to ramp up in time. It did result in him burning down to the Scarf, and FNATIC takes that game. Again, Scarf is just a hero that Europe has always been known for.
Scarf and Cruel. And you give
and Cruel.
Right, so they're just very good at those heroes. They're very proficient. And although Idris is very strong, and I would say Crystal Idris has the potential, they could have won that game. A lot of it's based on positioning that we did see the Idris in a lot of times. And also, what I was really impressed with was Cruel and Scarf did a great job at initiating on their terms. When you get the first engagement in a fight, you already give yourself a chance to win it. You already improve your chances. And we saw that FNATIC did a better job at improving their chances throughout the game. We're going to take a quick break, everybody, but when we come back, we'll be getting you guys into game number 2 of this best of 3. FNATIC's up 1. We'll see if they can take it home in the second game.
$14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are here live at the Vainglory8, powered by VIS Desk, getting ready for game number 2. You guys are watching FNATIC versus Salty Potatoes as FNATIC takes game number 1 in this best of 3 series. As we get ready for game number 2, everything is on the line here for Salty Potatoes. When we take a look at how the point standings kind of worked and kind of like what the schedule is, this is actually a pretty big deal for Salty Potatoes. They're actually 2 points behind FNATIC. Well, now they're 3, I believe. What that means is, if they can beat FNATIC, they have a shot at overtaking FNATIC in that 3rd place. If they lose, though, FNATIC kind of cements their 3rd to 4th place standing here at the end of Split 1 denominator. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, definitely a spot that FNATIC wants to be in. Again, this is a team that was very close to the top last season,
right,
and is looking to correct some of the things that may not have went exactly their way, and obviously trying to get in a better position this time around. Obviously, there is so much on the line this time around the board, just because of the fact that the number 1 seed in Europe whoever it is, whether it's by 1 point, whether it's by 10 points, the #1 seed will get that world spot going forward.
Yeah, so you really don't want SK. Now, can you check to see if SK did beat Mouse Esports?
SK did beat Mouse 2-0.
Oh, 2-0.
I think so. Pretty sure.
I thought Mouse was in the lead for that second game.
Mouse was in the lead in the second game, but SK turned it around.
Oh, dang. Oh, that's a heartbreaker for Mouse as we look to get through. Okay, we're in the draft here. Pedal banned first. This means that Salted Potatoes has a plan. They want to play something into this pedal. Probably Kroll.
Yeah, I mean, getting that Kroll through would be huge. Obviously, getting the Catherine through is pretty amazing also. And
this Black Feather band. This Black Feather band. I mean, it worked for FNATIC game 1, so I'm not going to hate on it. But I honestly think that, it's a little... I don't know. It's a kind of an odd band here. Sam was going to come out as the band from FNATIC. Not sure that was really a threat at all in game 1. Really interesting, kind of just how these teams prioritize different heroes. It's something worth studying, I think. But Grace Catherine, normally Catherine does really well into Grace. So when you see that Catherine come out, is that really the only other support you'd want to counter, or is there a lot of merit to picking up something like a Lance who can kind of give Catherine a hard time in those choke points?
Well, it's kind of a difficult position to be in because Lance can work really well into Catherine, Finn can work really well into Catherine, and so can Arden, but they don't bring that double heal. A Rhyme goes through for the ban out of Salty Potatoes, and a Baptiste is going to be the answer here. And I think this is smart from FNATIC because they're not going to give that Baptiste and Catherine over. And even when you do have the right counter composition to it, it's not unbeatable. But even if you have the counters, it is very difficult to do so. So now, if you are the side of Salty Potatoes, I think you have to go with something like the Celeste, just because you don't have to hit the Grace, and you can really outpoke that Baptiste. But they are going to go with the Jewel instead. I think this has merit, but I think it has a lot of difficulty as well going into the Grace and the Baptiste.
Yeah, but the thing that's nice about the Jewel is, if you get the early game and you've got this frontline Catherine, there's a lot of stun. So Jewel Catherine's great together because what Catherine will do is kind of like be that, like right in front of the Jewel is Jewel's going in using those thunder strikes. And I actually have seen this multiple times. It just starts really chunking through the enemy team. Baptiste, if they has to be a little careful here on how he engages. Ordain on the Jewel is going to be very important actually, because you don't want that Jewel jumping away from some of these fights. But then Celeste comes out. And I gotta be honest, you're gonna have to go Idris here, which is another double CP, and I didn't see that working too well. It's gonna be interesting. Although Grace could go weapon, I don't think that's gonna be the case.
Yeah, probably not gonna be the case. We'll have to see what they end up pulling out. Now, I think double CP can work as long as you are coordinated enough as a team to do so, but it's very difficult because that early shield prioritization can definitely shut you down early. I mean, make it very difficult because
that's
you're not
what we
have
saw.
That damage between abilities.
Yeah, and when Samuel got behind in game 1, he didn't have a lot of items. So he, on top of the shield prioritization from the side of FNATIC, Samuel was behind. It just was like it doubled or expanded how ineffective he was, how ineffective. I mean, so. A little bit of time by FNATIC on how they want to go. I think they want to go Idris, but they're being very careful. They are going to go it. I think that's the right pick. I don't think of anybody stronger. And I understand there's still some risk here. Celeste still has a lot of potential, but I think not going Idris just puts you further behind in what you can do to win the game.
Oh, it absolutely does, Dragon. And that is a huge thing for them, getting into this game on if they're going to be able to capitalize on it correctly, because it is incredibly devastating. It's just maybe a little bit more difficult to run than we'd like to see. Obviously, again, we talked about the Celeste a little bit, being good into that Baptiste, and so that's really the best thing that Salty Potatoes has going for them right now.
It does, as we look to get into game number 2 in this best-of-3 series. Again, everybody, you are watching the Vainglory8 powered by VIS. I'm your host, Dragonborn. Joining me tonight's the nominee as we bring you guys the off-stream action here in Europe. We're getting into game number 1, everybody, so let's jump right into the full denominate as we do see Salted Potatoes looking for their first win here tonight. See if they can pick it up here against FNATIC. I really like their composition. I'd have to say, if we go to game 3, it's definitely due to great drafting and will likely be really good teamwork by the side of Salty.
Yeah, definitely looking to be that way. This Jewel and Catherine and Celeste combination, obviously a lot of crowd control, which is something that specifically the Baptiste has some trouble dealing with. And, you know, it's pretty important that they land all that crowd control. If not, if they can't take Baptiste out early, then it's only going to be a matter of time before Idris is able to really, you know, take these fights and run away with it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, that's the one mistake that we saw out of Salty Potatoes was just the position of Idris in those fights, and the fact they didn't have a front line. I think the Baptiste is a better jungle hero with Idris and Samuel, because Samuel's just too far behind the fight, not able to get in with it. Where Netolite, he's squishy, but he could be in the fight a little bit with that Ordain, helping reposition a little bit better than I think Samuel would. As we see, 3-man, everyone's coming up to lane. Oh, so I've taken it back. Joker's still back in the jungle, but it's 3 men in the lane here. Grace recalls back, so interesting recall, I think. Netolite. Now wait, is this a weapon? That was a weapon Grace.
It is looking to be that. It looks like Palmatoro's going for it and gonna do his best to make good use of it.
This is fantastic. I actually like this a lot to dominate. I think the double CPU is risky. I think actually into this composition with the Jewel, Netolite as a support, I don't know why I'm even double thinking about Netolite being a support, but like Netolite is able to do so much on this Baptiste. And this is really going to be interesting. I think we maybe kind of missed the role swap there at the start of this game. At least I did.
I didn't pay enough attention to it that I should have. So, you know, I just kind of assumed, you know, the Baptiste does make sense into the squishy, you know, as soon as Jewel Jewel specifically, you know, we know the damage that a Baptiste can do even if you are building against him. If Jewel turns around and you have your empowered bad mojos, I mean, you don't have any armor or shield from the back, so Jewel is very susceptible if you're not winning. And Jewel takes so long to ramp up, you can force her out of those fights early.
What I love about the weapon Grace, and we'll see if it works, because typically I don't think it's been very successful when we've seen it utilized. It does do a lot of damage. What I love about though is its ability. Oh, whoa, wow, that was probably the closest recall cancellation I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely was close, but it wasn't quite there. Gold so far is incredibly even on both of these teams, and you know, again, this Jewel is going to take an incredible amount of time to ramp up, but so will Techno JJ on this Celeste. And now it is Netolite rotating up. Palmatoro very low in the jungle, not looking like he's going to be able to make it out of here, though, Dragon. Nope, he is not.
Nah, he's not. I mean, he was a dead man as soon as he rotated back there. I think lived longer than I expected. Not able to really do any counter damage. But what I like about the Grace, what the Grace could do is get into the front line, get on top of Celeste, and be a distraction. And that's what I think works well with the Idris. I think that's the composition you want. It's why Idris Cruel is so strong. It's why Idris with any, like, you know, with Glaive is so strong. It allows Idris to fight where Idris needs to fight from, which is behind the fight, not right in front of it. We'll see how well Palmatoro plays this weapon Grace, though. It is going to take a lot of skill between all the whole team from FNATIC, but I think if anyone could do it, it's them.
Yeah, if anybody's going to pull it together, it is going to be FNATIC. They tend to be a little bit more on the innovative side of Europe, and I think that's really one of their strong suits that keeps them at the top. Is they're very flexible with their drafting, but this one, I'm not sure if this one's going to be their ticket or not. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not worked when we've seen it. Like, we've seen it do damage, but we've never really seen it overpower a fight. Again, though, I don't think it needs to. I think with the Idris, you're really not, it's like kind of like a tanky Cruel. Like, you really don't need it to get all the kills. You just need it to get into the middle with a lot of tank. And then, of course, the heals that will come out while he's in the middle of the fight. We see right there, wow, that was a lot of damage that time.
Yeah, both of these teams able to put out a lot of damage, and we see that as Palmatoro gets absolutely deleted off the fold. The Joker obviously hitting level 6 there, gets that Solar Storm available now. Sneaky needs to get to that level 8 point, needs to get the overdrive on his... Oh, a good chain stun comes through here. Will they be able to find a kill? Flask is used, but it's not enough. And now they're looking for Netolite, and they will have him. And overall, 4 kills coming through out of the side of Salty Potatoes. They've got to be feeling pretty comfortable off the back of that one.
They are. The barrier... Oh, the barrier doesn't come in fast enough as Salty Potatoes just rips through that turret. And nice clean objective here. So this is where Grace sucks. And I'm gonna say it like that. Like, Grace really struggles when you go into a fight but can't get a kill, right? Because she's kind of a sitting duck. She just stands there. The Nova comes out, but she's not moving, and Celeste just could drop a few core collapses and you know, supernovas onto her. So Palmatora needs to get to that defensive tier 3 item as fast as possible.
Yeah, definitely needs to, and the huge spike for Sneaky is not going to come until he's in that, you know, 3 or 4 item mark on this jewel.
Right.
Obviously, with those Thunder Strikes able to critical once you get them overdriven, that's where Sneaky is really going to start to take off the most. Joker will start to come online, you know, realistically at that level 8 mark. You know, we've seen him be very aggressive so far. It's going to ramp up so much more than that, more than the aggression we've already seen out of him as soon as he gets those overdriven Heliogenesis and gets that additional range, which is going to provide him a little additional safety on top of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Celeste is only, at 6 minutes has the Frostburn. Looking to build to the Eve of Harvest, which I think is really good. I think it's really important.
Yeah, and, you know, sometimes I can see the use of a weapon Grace. I'm not sure if this is going to be the time that it's going to be the most useful thing. The biggest problem with Carry Grace is her kit is so based around her crowd control, her healing. You know, it's all besides her benediction. You know, she spends a lot of downtime healing her enemy or healing her team as well as stunning her enemies. Sneaky, you're in a bad spot, almost dropping. And for a weapon Grace specifically, it's not really, you know, the most beneficial thing to be using your abilities in the middle of a fight, because then you're losing out on a lot of team-wide damage. And looking over at the side of Salty Potatoes, that is something that their team composition does not lack, is raw damage.
Yeah, but I mean, they will have it. I mean, once they get the Celeste online, that is going to be a lot. No, the stuns are so great. 3 stuns land on Techno JJ, and he doesn't have a reflex block yet. With all of this crowd control, this is just a huge misstep that you need to get that reflex block. I don't think building the alternating current as fast as he did was needed if you don't have that reflex block yet. So that was going to be another turret going over to Salty.
Yeah, and that is a great position for them to be in. They have, you know, a late game composition all around, and they're at a point in the game where they're already ahead here at 8 minutes. I mean, this Grace should have been winning out the early game and has been unable to do so because of the amount of crowd control. One of Grace's biggest downfalls is when she does get locked up, especially going this Carry Grace. She doesn't have a whole lot of sustainability without burning too much on her own defense. It is a lot of damage coming through onto Nettoilette. Will they be able to find him? They don't. The big red button misses, and Techno JJ, with the Shatterglass and Alternating Current online, is still a bit shy of his power spike, and Sneaky is coming on here very quickly, Dragon.
Yeah, that's not what you want. You don't want Sneaky to get on. That third item is just going to blow up the side of FNATIC with Celeste to back it up. Fusion's already starting to come out here. That's just because, you know, Joker feels confident. Got the Eve, it's got the Frostburn. No defense chip, doesn't really need it, and actually you get a little extra defense from that infusion, which is one of the reasons why we see a lot of teams build infusions. It's kind of like a quick, easy way to be right in prime condition for fighting. FNATIC does a good job, I think, pushing the lane up here. Buys them a little bit of time for their farm rotation in the back, as we see Palmatora. Palmatora doesn't have enough defense. That's my opinion right now. No reflex block by Techno. He could buy one. Does he buy one here? Oh, he doesn't buy one. Techno. This is a problem. He's going to keep getting focused here by Salty if he doesn't get out in time.
Yeah, and even Nettoilette here on this Matisse, not the tankiest of captains, he's susceptible to being, you know, damaged way early on in the fight to Sneaky, the amount of damage that he's able to put out, as well as the Joker poking from that backline. So what makes it difficult is Nettoilette is, you know, he needs to build up some defense so that he's not using his, you know, his healing, you know, the fountain, the crucible. He doesn't want to be using those items on himself, and he doesn't want to have to prematurely use a Fearsome Shade either if he doesn't have to. Overall, there comes the Fearsome Shade. It is blocked, though, by Class, and they may just be looking to take a turret here. They're going to have it, too.
Yeah, they do. Another objective. And Techno JJ again. He's getting the damage down. He finds 1 kill. The Grace gets him the Holy Nova. Holy Divine Intervention, I mean, as we see a lot of damage now coming out from Techno.
Yeah, so far looking good. Fortunately, Sneaky is able to find a kill onto Palmatoro, but now Techno JJ chasing down Class. That will be an ace for the side of FNATIC. And, you know, that's going to put enough gold in Techno JJ's pocket to get that Broken Myth online just off of that 1 fight, Dragon.
Yeah, that was huge for FNATIC. FNATIC able to, I think, kind of start to pull this game back. And this is the Crystal Idris's potential. You really can never count Idris out as he's starting to build. He does get the Broken Myth. Oh my goodness. So now FNATIC should be able to just absolutely rip through these games. Techno, if he gets that reflex block soon, I think he should, and I think he should buy it right now. I think he has enough gold for the reflex block.
He does not. He's about 300 gold.
Right, he did, but he bought it from Fusion instead. So he decides, I think that's the right, I mean, that's the decision he decided to go into. We'll see if it works. Got the Crucible on net-to-let, so maybe that's all they need.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crowd control to try to be relying on one Crucible to block it all, especially since Catherine has that silence as well. It's not just the stun we have to worry about, or the stun chain we have to worry about. It's the team-wide silence that Class could be able to pull out here. And so far it has been the side of Salty looking in the driver's seat. And here we go, a big stun comes down onto Techno JJ. Sneaky is going to take him up the map, but not before taking down Joker. And now with net-to-let being the last alive, they are forced on the run here. And this is a difficult spot to be in. Stun comes through, ace comes through for the side of Salty Potatoes. And they are looking pretty firmly in the driver's seat.
This is devastating. Techno not able to block all this crowd control. The Crucible can only do what? It's just 1 block that you have. I'm pretty confident that Techno needs to, and he does it. He builds another Crystal Bit. He's not going to build Reflex Block at all. I'm not sure I can agree with this. You've got to be a little bit responsive. I know you want that 4-item interest, and I agree you need to get to that point. But at least until you can recover from some of these fights, I think you have to. And I honestly think Palmatoro is going to build a Crucible. I think double Crucible is the way to go here. But he's a decent amount of gold away from that. You need to have a reflex block until he gets there.
Yeah, you definitely need to get that reflex block online.
I don't think
it's
he's going
so
to.
Detrimental. Yeah, he has to, though. I mean, if he gets stunned up by Sneaky the way he, you know, the way the last fight went through, Techno JJ is going to get absolutely blown up, whether he has this defense or not. You know, the armor is not going to be what saves him. If he can get away from Jewel and kite around the fight, used his mobility to his advantage, that's going to be the best defense. Joker's dropped very low here. Palmatoro looking for the kill. Will he be able to find it? Some good healing out of the Eve there going to come through, keep Joker alive. Sneaky, though, getting taken very low. Will they be able to find him? The stun comes through. It is going to be enough with that tension bow proc coming out of Palmatoro. And now, with the tides turning, the Joker is going to need to get out of here. And it is going to be Palmatoro and Techno JJ just a little bit too low to pursue. So it will allow the Joker to get out safely.
Yeah, the Joker gets out. This is, again, we're starting to see these fights turn in favor of FNATIC slowly but surely. And a lot of that comes down to just not positioning well in that last fight. Honestly, we've really seen them able to stun up Techno a lot, and he's been very effective at that. So Palmatoro's Divine Interventions have been a huge help with, I think, keeping his team up just a little bit above a little bit above the mark as far as healing and keeping them alive in these fights. You know, obviously not going to have that Echo come out anytime soon, but what Palmatoro needs to build is that Crucible, because at this point, Techno has already made the decision he's not going to build Reflex Block at all this game, and they paid the price early, but if they could keep their game alive and the second Crucible comes out before the next fight, I think FNATIC can win it.
Yeah, FNATIC is definitely still in a spot that they can win. They just have to pull everything together and do it, and that is no easy feat against the raw damage that Sneaky provides. I actually think the next time Sneaky uses his healing flask, he'll probably sell that off and get some either Pierce built into his kit, or just go for even more critical damage, and that is going to make him all the more scary. And you know, War Tread's now complete for Clash. The Joker working into that Broken Myth. They're all getting to very scary points in their build.
Yeah.
And Techno JJ is is almost the exclusive carry at this point on the team. I mean, Grace just does not do enough sustainable damage in a fight to be that effective.
Well, he's not supposed to, though. I mean, his job is kind of more of a distraction, and the thing is, he doesn't have enough defense yet to be that as well. I mean, he doesn't even have a Crucible, so he's just been behind in this game. He looks to go in, decent amount of damage. No, he's on the outside of the fight, and he gets onto the Joker.
Yeah, looking to be in a good spot. Techno JJ is going to find the Joker, but will it be enough? They are turning their attention onto Clast. The bubble will be popped. They're almost able to get the kill down, but now Sneaky finds a Palmatoro, finds a Netolette, and now Techno JJ and Sneaky, the last two alive. Will you find him? Who's going to get the kill, Dragon? It is going to go to Sneaky, and he should be able to solo this Kraken here at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jule's going to do so much damage, and, you know, you don't have enough damage. Palmatoro goes with the Slumbering Husk first. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on, because I know if you're going to put everything in the edge rush, you do need that second Crucible. And I'm guessing Palmatoro could have built it then. I'm not sure why Palmatoro feels like he needs to stay alive in the fight. The only person you care about is Idris, in my mind. And the 4-item Idris is going to do a lot of damage. We just haven't seen him survive these fights because Catherine's able to stun pretty reliably and keep Celeste alive throughout these fights, where we're not seeing, Netolette really effectively get the position to keep both his carries alive. I don't think the fights have been executed very well. They need to get better. I mean, they could still win this. We're going to find out right here as Techno looks to go in. Dodges the stun thanks to that roll.
Yeah, it is a good tool for a Idris to be able to get out of that crowd control without burning too much. A lot of damage comes down onto the Joker, but is it enough? A big Thunder Strike and Solar Storm comes through. Palmatoro is down. Another stun comes through. Not quite going to land. Will they be able to find Techno JJ? If he drops here, that is likely just game.
He got stunned.
And there we go. He gets stunned up, and now the Joker should easily be able to close this game out with this Kraken.
There's just not enough blocks for the amount of stuns that are coming out of Salty Potatoes. They're going to win this game. All it took was, I think, just through the mid-game. Just through the mid-game, get that reflex block, sell it once Palmatoro gets the Crucible. And honestly, great job by Salty Potatoes here. They played the game they needed to play. They absolutely dominated the early game, and I think the late game was starting to creep away from them, but not fast enough for them to lose, and that is game number 2. We're going to go to 3 games.
And this is something we don't see too often on the off-stream games, Dragon, is a game number 3, but
We've seen it a little bit more recently.
A little bit more. Last season, it was like only 1 or 2 times throughout the whole season. And, this time around, we have seen quite a bit more, so competition getting really close here. Obviously, Salty Potatoes with a huge performance, Sneaky specifically on this duel, 9-3. Gotta be feeling good off the back of that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's like when you get early, the Jewel is good. Like, it doesn't have quite the engagement. I think that Netolette flexing the Rome Baptiste was also very good. I feel like they lost the early game because there's so many early stuns. I mean, all of the stuns in the arsenal of Salty Potatoes were either your first item, your first ability, or second ability. So they're, from the first 2 minutes or so, you're able to stun very reliably. And they were landing, and we did see like 1 or 2 missed court collapses. It was pretty rare. I would actually say Joker did a great job. But then you have also the Rocket Leap. You have K-Last Merciless Pursuit. Just too much to handle, and just like that, they take up a game. Good job by Salty Potatoes. We're gonna get ready for game number 3 here in just a few minutes. But when we come back after this short break, make sure you stick around. We're gonna be right back in a few.
$14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download banned. Communication made easy.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here live at the VIS desk, bringing you guys the Vainglory8 powered by VIS. I'm your host, Dragonborn. Denominate here joining me as we get to get into our third game here, the European Vainglory8. We're doing the off-stream match for you guys, so you guys get to see all of the action, whether on the main channel or here on VIS League. And we're just about ready. We're just checking in to see. Looks like they're ready to go. So we really don't need much delay. But, you know, let's talk a little bit real quickly here to Dominate. We've seen two very different games from both teams. We've really seen, kind of in both cases, actually, surprisingly, the Idris fall short. And a lot of that has to do with just overall positioning on B-side. Idris picked not really working out. What can these teams do? If they're going to pick Idris, what are they doing wrong that just keeps forcing them into these bad spots?
Well, specifically when you have a Idris into a triple stun composition and you don't build a block, it is going to be a rough situation for you and your team. And specifically in that last game was the fights that FNATIC lost was when Techno JJ did get stunned off by either Jewel or the Catherine, you know, some of those reliable stuns, and it really came through pretty heavily there. So overall, I think FNATIC getting into this next game, gonna hopefully be looking to close this one out. Catherine off the board already, and now looking into ban number 2 here. If you are the side of Salty Potatoes, I think you have to consider not banning the Blackfeather away. There we go. So a Grace comes through. I don't think Blackfeather warrants a ban. I think he is a good hero, but I think he is very counterable as well. Glaive is on the table right now, and Glaive is a good pick into the Blackfeather, as well as the Arden is a good pick into the Blackfeather, just because it can really... He's an assassin. He does better at eliminating those very squishy targets.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a tough thing. I mean, I really respect some of these players are just very, very good at, playing these Blackfeather, Scarf, Cruel compositions. They're just very good, so they're proficient. So you don't want to put them on there. But if I really think the focus on countering them is just lost sometimes, and you really got to understand, like, there's some other heroes that just don't lose. Celeste, I mean, has been phenomenal. We did see Celeste use with Mouse, but that was very much Celeste almost snowballing that game. So very risky to let Celeste go through. I actually think you'll see Idris and Celeste potentially banned here. One of them will almost definitely be banned by at least one of these teams.
Yeah, definitely looking like it. Celeste is gone. I think with the Blackfeather on the table, you probably want to go into that route as well of, possibly banning away the Idris here.
Yeah, I think I'd like to...
Idris can blow Blackfeather up. Like, I'm not even going to hide it. Like, Idris can destroy a Blackfeather.
Yeah, we'll see. I think a lot of time on this ban. A lot of time. 45 seconds left as they're going to go ban the Jewel away. I don't know if Jewel is going to be prioritized, though, but because I think they'd pick Idris instead. So, in a way, you kind of prevent yourself from taking the Jewel. I don't know if maybe FNATIC even plays the Jewel. So, like, they're probably saying, you know what, we're not going to pick the Jewel. Let's keep the Jewel away from Salty altogether, which maybe was the right call. It does also mean that I think Jewel would have been good into Cruel, potentially. So, if you're going to go Cruel on FNATIC side, you definitely... give yourself some potential there. I'm actually surprised. You know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised Salty Potatoes didn't ban, like, Idris or Celeste earlier. I guess it means they could go with it. It's an interesting draft, nonetheless, by FNATIC with that Blackfeather first pick. They got a lot open. Now, do you go Scarf here, or is this a Crystal Blackfeather that you're trying to run? Did I lose the nominee? I think I lost.
Probably... Yeah, sorry about that. I had to move something around real quick. It's definitely, I think the Scarf is a strong pick, especially with the Blackfeather. And then if you can go with something like the Arden that can get you in a more comfortable position against the against the Idris specifically, that's a definitely huge useful tool that your team can really prevent Idris from getting too far ahead, while Scarf is building up stacks the whole time onto the Finn. So definitely something to make note of, that we have gone the Lance. It is difficult to land those stuns onto a Idris because of his movement.
Exactly, and that's why, that's all the more impressive when you had the triple stun. They were able to really get those stuns consistently, but it was like when one landed, all three collapsed on him. It's going to be a Rhyme, so likely a Crystal Rhyme here. We have seen Weapon Rhyme as well, so it could be either or, and I think this is great. I think this is great for FNATIC to maybe keep Salty Potatoes guessing here a little bit in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, could be looking to do so. I think the Rhyme is a strong pick in a lot of scenarios. It's interesting into the Crystal Idris potential, and with a Krull now, I'm leaning on the side of Salty Potatoes for this one, Dragon.
I'm gonna say this is gonna look interesting. We'll see how well Rhyme does into Cruel Finn. There is actually the potential for Rhyme to get an early lead, really pack a punch. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I'm gonna go and say this is going to be close, the nominee. I think this is likely a game that when we get to about the 18-minute mark, Idris takes it away. But up until that point, it's going to be a back and forth.
Yeah,
that's my prediction there.
I have to lean on the skill. I think FNATIC is a better team in general. Yeah. However, I think Salty Potatoes has the better draft.
We'll have to see. We are getting into game number 3 here in just a few minutes. Really excited to wind out the EU series here. Make sure you guys hit us to follow us on Twitter at VIS League as we bring you guys the off-stream matches every single weekend. There's Vainglory8. So if you love to catch all of the games, you can have us in the Vainglory8 channel live here on your computer or wherever else that you want to watch it. Definitely not too problem. Just a quick update. It looks like we have a Game 3 also between Calamity Reborn and G2 Esports. So a lot of exciting action between these two teams as we get into it here on the main channel and here on the Vainglory8. But with that, we're going to jump into game number 3. Let's get right into it, Denominate, as we jump onto the fold. FNATIC and Salty Potatoes. This is quite an intense rivalry here just because of how close they still are in the point standing.
Yeah, definitely. In these first couple weeks, obviously this is going to be the end of split number 1 as we get into the Mobile Masters next weekend, which will give us 4 more weeks in split number 2 where teams can earn points. Obviously no mid-season challenge battles, so both of these teams still in a comfortable spot in that sense. But, you obviously want to get points as early on as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you certainly do. Starting off the rotation here with the Elder Treant. Able to get this and take, it's not really a gold lead yet. We usually see that spike up after this rotation. The double carry in the back. It is going to be a Crystal Palmatoro, just making that note. So likely going to be that weapon, Black Feather in the lane, which I think seems like a much more consistent composition as far as itemization from these two heroes. Everyone.
Yeah. Definitely a fun spot to be in, no matter what side of the table you're on, and it's gonna be all about this Idris in the late game. This Idris, Finn, and Krull are it's a scary composition to be in.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually gonna go down and try to take this again. So could be 2 Treants. Go Elder Treants, going over to FNATIC. Gold's about even, so it's not really making a huge difference. It is some experience, though, right? Like the gold and the CS scores might be similar, but the experience level may start to favor Palmatoro a little bit. We'll see how fast he can clear his backs. Joker maybe looking to make a rotation here. Actually going to go right over and take the bottom 2 minions right away.
Yeah, and I think that's probably pretty smart in the scenario that you're in. You have to try to, you have to not let Krull just have free reign over the jungle. We have to see those engages. We have to see him trying to slow Krull down. If Krull is allowed to ramp up, then that's going to make it so much easier for the Idris to do so as well. And Sneaky is one of those players that you can't let have a incredibly comfortable position because he's really one of the star players when he brings his A game on a good hero. And Idris, obviously, pretty easy one for a lot of people to bring their A game on.
No, that's true. We may have a 1v1 going up. Joker and Palmatoro going head-to-head.
Yeah, Joker and Palmatoro going to get a little bit of damage here, but it is going to be Netolette helping kind of get him off. And Krull should be able to win out here in the early game.
Yeah, it's actually pretty close here. And you see a nice studded root. Oh, that's going to do it for Palmatoro. Gets the first blood.
Yeah, and Rhyme getting the first blood against a Krull is huge. They have to continue to push with it, though. I actually don't like that Palmatoro is up here in the lane trying to force a Finn back at this point in the game. He just needs to steal away some farm and get himself into a more comfortable position.
He's going to get the Treant, though. I don't think that was at risk because of the rotation. He was actually pretty quick. He rotated up, but it was more of like rotating up to help push and then rotate down immediately, which we see all too often. It's so early in the game. I don't think he was going to go rotate to the backs against the Krull. That would have been extremely risky. So I honestly think he had a pretty... he was able to get the rotation he wanted anyways.
Right. I think he probably could have got a little bit more. That Rhyme clears those backs so quickly, and with Krull having just gone down, I would have just liked to see him push straight to the jungle. It would have done one or two things. It would have forced Sneaky to come down and defend with K-Last, and which would have given Techno JJ the opportunity to push up the wave, or they just have to sacrifice that jungle, because again, one Winter Spire, and Rhyme could have got out with the entire back jungle of Krull and put him in an uncomfortable position. And now Krull in the lane, the Joker has taken a lot of damage, but not quite level 6 yet. And level 6 is where Krull's really going to start to take off, when he has that engagement out of From Hell's Heart.
Another lane push by Palmatoro. Now this time, he probably could rotate down sooner, and a little bit of hesitation, I think, to move down to the back jungles. This could cost them, but they're going to 3-man. And, they're doing pretty good, but here comes Krull.
Yeah, Krull... not quite at that point yet. Again, we need the stun out of him if he wants to be able to deal with Palmatoro here in this mid-game. Rhyme up here in the lane helping push down Sneaky. Not quite at the divergent path, so not quite the strongest first spike yet for Sneaky. Obviously, those chakrams do a lot of damage, but the safety of having your ranged attacks is really your biggest chance of defense on a Idris. Is you go from a melee hero to a ranged hero, and your whole playstyle changes at that point.
It really does. Nice engagement. There's actually Salty counter jungling for the first time, finally able to get through here. So definitely a nice job by Salty Potatoes. I think trying to just keep the pressure on, keep pushing through. It's something that you got to be very careful on. Salty Potatoes going to push this lane up really nice.
Yeah, and that's definitely where they want to be. Idris now with the Frostburn online does have his divergent path, but maybe not quite the same amount of damage or clear speed had he gone with the Shatterglass. I think he's just kind of at the point that the Frostburn was cheaper to get, as well as may provide him some additional distance from Rhyme and Lance. And that's, it's just that additional utility that item does provide.
Yeah, and the utility, we've seen Frostburn when it's used together with the T. Plus, you got Krull. I think anything you could do to slow the enemy allows Krull to stay in your face. Even though you're not really focusing Krull as your primary damage dealer, you do want Krull to be able to stay on a target. And that Frostburn absolutely will help. So, nice pick, actually, by Sneaky. I think good situational pick. K-Last and company. He's only 5 yet, doesn't have 6. He's so close to 6. He hits it right there. So you could see there's no Crucible on the side of FNATIC yet. We'll see if that's a big difference as we have a fight breaking out.
Yeah, we do a beautiful Force Accord comes through. The From Hell's Heart lands onto Palmatoro. They are going to find a kill. And just like that, Salty Potatoes now looking to find a turret here. Kind of short on minions, shouldn't be able to find it right away, but they may look to stick around. Obviously, very healthy still on the side of Salty Potatoes. And, just the matter of a Chakram and a Spectral Smite here should be able to bring this down. Not even going to need the Smite. And Salty Potatoes going to get out scot-free with a pretty sizable objective lead now.
Exactly. That is really bad for FNATIC because you've got the Krull Idris, so you don't want to give up anything. Oh, but we got to kill the jungle. Netolette just barely finds it with just the tip.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Joker, he did come out a little too far. He was pretty low after that last fight there underneath the turret. And now it is just, it is FNATIC here working on this gold mine, but will we get a steal coming out of class? He's looking for it, he's not going to find it. And just like that, the gold favor is now back in the side of FNATIC, but a little bit more risky for TechnoJJ to farm now.
Right, not having that turret's going to be a problem for the Black Feather, especially this Crystal Idris. We are going to see, it looks like it's going to be, he's going to be moving towards, we have almost 3,000 gold. Sneaky's going to pick up an item here. I'm curious to see what it's going to be. Alternating Current has been like the go-to second item for a lot of these Idris players, here, especially in EU. That's what we've seen here today anyways. And it is going to be an Alternating Current right out the gate, with still, I think, enough gold too, a sizable amount of gold to get into his next item within a few minutes. So definitely got to be careful if you are the side of FNATIC here. Idris is starting to stride into his power spikes. Yeah, and Idris is so scary once he gets that third item. Again, most cases is that broken myth for most players. And, you know, again, with the utility slow of that Frostburn, it is going to make it difficult for Palmatoro to get to that back line, to get the hard damage that he needs down. And, you know, again, Sneaky all the time is just going to ramp up in these fights as we get going. Yeah. They're going to try to get on this turret here. This is risky. 3v3 fight. Everyone's here. Oh, saw that block. Nice block on that Forced Accord.
Yeah, definitely, you know, going to be important. If you get pulled in, that is going to spell demise for your team very quickly. So Netwillet, you know, has been good so far with his blocks. We just have to make sure, obviously, that he's able to keep up on them as well. I mean, a single missed Forced Accord could, you know, could essentially just annihilate his team with the amount of damage those chakrams are going to do, especially as Sneaky gets into that third and potentially fourth damage item.
All right, we're getting to that point. 10 minutes in. As we start to see items come out here. Palmatoro with only the Shatter Glass, but we do have two items here on TechnoJJ. Cruel's got the Poison Shiv and the Tension Bow. That's kind of where Cruel starts to come online once he builds that first tier 3 defensive item. Probably going to be, just because you have this Rhyme here, it's just not going to be that easy here. So we got to fight in the lane. Soy Potatoes is up there ready to go. The nominee, it's going to actually be FNATIC kind of running away from that.
Yeah, they're at a point in the game where they're not really able to, you know, take too many fights here. You know, the Joker's in a beautiful spot. They do get a gold mine, but they are going to lose out now on Palmatoro. Forced Accord is going to come through. TechnoJJ looking like he's in a rough position now as well. He's very, very hurt, but is looking like he might just make it out. No Rose offensive charges available. He should essentially drop at some point. Yep, there Kroll is. Finn actually coming through class with the kill steal is going to get it with that Polite Company. And all the time it's been Sneaky up in the lane trying to keep the wave pushed, try to make TechnoJJ miss out on as much CS as he possibly can, and is also doing a good job of chunking Netwillet out. And here comes the Joker.
Yeah, moves in. This turret is going to drop really fast. Look how quickly. Cruel. They don't even need the minion wave pushed up as the barrier started to come on. They're getting another objective here. They're losing gold miner. They're losing out, so they're not like running away with a gold lead, but they're fighting. Their mechanical skills so far with this composition have been really on point. Kind of just shutting down Techno and Palmatoro, and a lot of that has to do with Idris, right? You're going to see that just they don't have the range to necessarily outpoke Sneaky, and then if Sneaky gets any amount of damage onto the side of Techno or Palmatoro, he then can just go in and ignore the fact that, you know, they're really not strong enough to out damage him at this point. As he's starting to build, he's actually wait, I think he can build that broken myth here in just a few short seconds.
Yeah, should be able to have that online here pretty shortly. He's got the gold in pocket to do so. He just has to make it back to the shop to get that item purchased. And that's where Idris is really, I mean, we've already seen him be a threat, but that's where Idris is really going to get scary to anything that FNATIC wants to pull together. And I really don't like that FNATIC allowed this composition to go through.
And yeah, it's been an interesting draft actually, just overall. You're not even getting the Catherine pick there, as they could have probably gotten that first pick Catherine, or vice versa. So with that, Blackfeather's pushing this lane up with Net2Let. So we'll see if they look to go in here. This has really been a good game for Salty Potatoes. They've been playing very well.
Yeah, definitely a good spot for Salty Potatoes. A block does come through from Net2Let, so you know, keeping FNATIC here a little bit safe. But Rhyme, you know, has the Eve of Harvest, needs to get into that Broken Myth of his own, as well as get into an Aegis, because of just how strong Crystal Idris is into a slow carry with low defense like Rhyme. Impale's going to come through and land onto Sneaky, but it's not quite going to be enough. Githian Wall coming through, though, that is going to be helpful. And with no Shimmer Strike available, it is going to result in Sneaky dropping, but not before getting Net2Let. And that is just now FNATIC cleaning up the remainder. And, you know, they are looking for themselves a Joker here. Will they be able to find it? They will. And just like that, FNATIC with an ace, looking to get their first turret of the game. That's
a huge mistake. Sneaky gets Githian walled and locked up right at the bottom of that lane. Right there in the bush. I'm not sure why he was still out of position. You had Cruel and Kailash just not there in the front line. And I think the Joker took so much damage that he had to back off. So at that point, Sneaky should have got out. That resulted in him going down so early in that fight, which they got one kill, but they give up so much more. Cruel not able to have the sustain to 2v1 at that point, especially against a Rhyme. You're not going to get that. So nice job, FNATIC. They could be looking to come back here, as they're just down by one objective, and they're actually up by 2,000 gold.
Yeah, definitely, you know, got to make note of that. The second turret being available, or still online at least for the side of Salty Potatoes, is kind of like a positional advantage. But obviously with the gold on the side of FNATIC, anything can really still happen. Obviously TechnoJJ able to ramp up in the fights very heavily. Sorrowblade, Broken Myth, and Serpent's Mask is going to be able to do a lot of damage if he's allowed to get onto Sneaky, who's actually building a lot of defense here now with the Reflex block, and the you know, tier 2 armor is available for him. He's not going into that fourth offensive item here on Idris like we see most players do. So maybe not going to be as big of a threat as we thought at the original part of the game.
Reflex block on Idris does sound like sweet music to my ears, and you do need it. The Impales, that was a big factor actually in his last death. So he's making the connection here, knows that he needs to make an adjustment. You know, just for these fights, because he's got the damage down. He's not down. He's got the Broken Myth, and they've got another fight.
Yeah, here we go. Sneaky has taken a lot of damage, but he's going to use the Shimmer Strike to get out, and they might actually still find him. Blackfeather was making it through the fight, not quite able to do so, and now Sneaky on the run, not quite going to make it away from the death grip of Net2Let. Impale does come through, and now with Kroll as healthy as he is and his Finn as healthy as he is, I think if you are Rhyme, you just have to run at this point. I don't know if it's going to be enough. He's going to make it out just by a sliver with some fortified health coming through.
That fortified health just absolutely shut down that that smite from Cruel. I mean, Cruel's smite normally at that level will usually knock you out, kill you, but he just couldn't get it because you're talking about so much fortified health from Rhyme as we get later into the game. So if you can't kill Rhyme and Lance, you're gonna have some big problems with this Cruel Finn composition. The opportunity for Salty Potatoes to carry this, you know, kind of like run away with this game are starting to slip. These fights are going to get closer and closer.
Yeah, they have been so far, and you know, fortunately with the damage that TechnoJJ has, you know, he's able to find kills onto Sneaky, find a lot of damage onto Sneaky, and with Sneaky committing into a Metal Jacket now, that might change up a little bit. It will give him a little bit more survivability in the fight, but he's also not going that 4 offensive item Idris. And TechnoJJ does have the Aegis complete, so that is going to be an interesting trade between the two of them. Between the Joker and Palmatoro, I do think 100% of the time Kroll should come out on top in these compositions, and has been doing a good job of doing so far, as Sneaky picks up a level 12 infusion now, looking for the next fight.
And we could have that next fight in just a few seconds. They got a forced accord a day. It's breaking out right here. Oh my goodness, FNATIC just, they have to back off from that. That was a good look from Salty to start it.
Yeah, good start, but not quite enough to finish it. as the disengage coming out of FNATIC, you know, got them through in a pretty safe spot. And, you know, again, I want to lean on the composition here that Salty Potatoes has put together, but FNATIC, you know, not letting up.
Well, we do see the Echo here coming online for Kaylas. Maybe that's going to be a huge factor because we don't see an Echo on the side of Netolet just yet. Kraken's starting up. It's been a really close game, honestly, between these teams. That's what I kind of told you, right? Like, I think the first 18 minutes are going to be close. We'll see now if that starts to change. A lot of defense built on this Idris.
Yeah, that's going to give him that survivability, but, you know, again, it is just damage reduction. It's not additional damage with the healing effect like we would normally see with that Eve of Harvest. And now with the Kraken, you know, we are a couple minutes with Kraken on the board. Whoever wins this next fight is going to be looking in a beautiful position to get a Kraken push. For quite a while, Dragon, we haven't seen one of these teams be able to cleanly win a fight, which is really what they need at this point.
Yeah, it's just getting too close. Now, the Echo being out here on the Finn, we'll see if that's a big difference. I like where they're at their position-wise right now. We could be seeing a fight starting right here, Denominate, as everyone's... actually, Cruel doesn't have his infusion yet. I think they're going to shop it. He's going to pick that up right now. Oh, no, he actually goes with a heavy steel.
Lots of damage coming out on this Krull and not as much sustain, so going to be fun to see what we go through here. Obviously, the Poison Shiv is nice for some sustain on the Krull, but you know, not quite as much committed into the defense either, so we do have to make note of that going forward.
Huge force to core. We got to fight the Nobide.
Yeah, we do, and it is Techno JJ dropping very quickly, but so is Sneaky. Fortunately, the Joker is able to find a kill. Sneaky is not going to make it out of here alive. And now, with the combination of Lance and Rhyme, I don't think Kroll should be able to follow up and get a kill. And just like I said, we have to see a clean fight come out of one of these teams before we really know what's going on.
What's really incredible here is just that they have done such a good job at taking out Sneaky. He's doing a lot of damage. He does have the sustain in these fights. He's not dying right away, but he's just really, like, getting caught, and the reflex block has been good. I think he's going to have to get that Aegis here as his next item pretty soon. And I'm not really sure. I know he's got the metal jacket. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure if he needs it. I think the Eve of Harvest here would be great. Once he's got the Aegis, infusions alike, we'll see if he actually sells it to get that extra damage as we get later into the game. Because I think Finn does provide enough support with that Polite Company to keep him alive. It's definitely been helping him. He's been really hard to take down. Blackfeather and Palmatora, both Techno and Palmatora, have done a great job getting onto the Idris quickly. These fights have been so even.
Yeah, they absolutely have, and you know, at 20 minutes, these death timers are getting longer and longer. If there's a fight where Techno JJ or Sneaky survives, whoever is in that position, whoever's carry makes it through the fight is going to be the one that is able to pick up a Kraken, able to get a good push down. Here we go, and Impale comes through, a good Atlas Pauldron lands, and now it is Sneaky looking to kite away, finding good damage onto Techno JJ. Sneaky is so healthy this time around, he should be in a beautiful spot, and now with Palmatora on the run, like I said, whichever one of these teams carry survives the fight is going to be able to go for that Kraken. Lance is still alive, Netolet is alive, but it is super risky for him, and if he misses the steal and dies as a result, then that is going to be a terrible thing for any FNATIC fans out there.
I want to talk about that last fight, though, because one of the things that I really love what Kaylas was doing is he's not using his Echo on the Forced Accord. He's using it on the Quibble, and he was able to get 2 Quibbles land to lock them up. Does a little bit of damage, but that stun potential forces all the reflex blocks gone. So there's just no more survivability. He almost gets the steal. That's what's going to have to get out of this fight. Looks like he's actually going to get out. As it is going to be Sneaky who pushed the lane up pretty effectively. That's what I think has been the big difference maker. I really love Kaylas in provision here. I don't really see the Forced Accord. The Forced Accord blows the Crucible early, and then he's able to use that Quibble twice in a row to slow down the side of FNATIC.
Yeah, and not only the slow, but that big AoE stun. Obviously, 2 melee heroes on the side of FNATIC. That is something that we have to make note of. And, you know, they've done a good job so far. Palmatoro looking to get some damage down here, but no Broken Myth. This Rhyme is just not going to ramp up the way that we would, you know, mostly hope.
Again, using the Quibble with that Echo double.
Is going to miss. Sneaky's on the backline running, but it looks like he is going to drop. A good Githyan wall comes through. Palmatoro is able to find the kill, and just like that, the Joker now taking so much damage, you know, has to be incredibly careful here. But, you know, with Techno JJ and Netwell at low, it is going to force FNATIC out of the fight as well. And just like that, both of these teams really at a stalemate when it's the Krull that is the one to stay alive.
Wow, look how fast Joker heals up here, though, with those tension block with that poison chip. Gives him a huge amount of health. So that is, that's definitely some saving grace. Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I felt like, you know, with that fortified health, I guess with the Kraken pushing, they just felt like they couldn't go for that kill of the Krull. That was too risky. They're going to lose all of their turrets here as well. But again, K-Last, using the Echo on the Quibble, has been pretty effective. Although, you know what's different about that time to dominate is he didn't use the Force to Cord first. So the Crucible is still up in the middle of those Quibbles, which I don't think made it as effective. They were able to block out one of those.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job blocking out that Force to Cord. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the Quibble, as well as Techno JJ with his Rose offensive, should be able to get through some of this crowd control as well. Now the Joker, Poison Shift, Tension Bow, Breaking Point complete. He is going to be a pretty sizable threat in this game. You know, we talked about it earlier. Sneaky is really the raw damage source. But if they just commit onto Sneaky, Joker will be able to ramp up a sizable portion of damage. And that is something to make note of. 24 minutes in the game. Kraken will be respawning soon, and with a open Vein Crystal, Salty Potatoes doesn't even need it. They just need to win a fight, take down Techno JJ, and they can end the game.
One kill will definitely do it as they are rotating up here, looking for the fight. This actually is going to be the first engagement with Joker going in. So you see, Miss Quibble that time around, but Salty Potatoes, they really need this fight to nominate.
Yeah, both of these teams really need this fight. Salted Potatoes needs it to close out the series, and FNATIC needs it to hang in by a sliver. Force to Cord gets blocked. Techno JJ and Netwell have taken a lot of damage, and I don't know if they're going to be able to come through here, Dragon. That's it, and Techno JJ is down, and that means that, you know, unfortunately for the side of FNATIC, they likely just lose out on this game.
They lose out on this game. This is going to be the end here. Netwell's going to be able to slow this, but not end or stop Sneaky. And actually, Sneaky almost getting the kill here. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge for Salty Potatoes. I wish I could bring up the points to show you because I'm going to break it down for you guys. With this win, it does still mean that they're 1 point behind FNATIC, but they've got an opportunity tomorrow to get more points. And this actually means FNATIC won't get any more points for the week. So a huge victory for Salty Potatoes here and a massive loss. If you look at ending the split on first split here with you know, being in 4th place instead of 3rd, not being able to accumulate any more points, means FNATIC's road in split 2 is going to be even that much harder. So a big deal here in Europe to see this victory go over to Salty Potatoes.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, you know, as always, guys, we do bring you the off-stream games for the Saturday matchups for the Vainglory8. So that will be all of for Europe. But you won't want to miss North America later on in the day either.
Nah, we'll be back here in, again, a few hours, bringing you guys more of the action. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and watching. It's been an absolute joy to bring you guys these games, as the Nominee and I love doing this every single week. We'll see you guys in a few hours for North America, and then make sure you tune in, not next week, but the weekend after, as we will be starting split number 2. Until then, we'll see you guys. Good night.
only $14.99.